Park Board meeting to order. Our first agenda item is to ratify the agenda for if there's any changes or additions, now's the time to put them in. If there's none, I'd entertain a motion to ratify the agenda.
Make a motion to ratify the agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to ratify the October agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The agenda's been ratified. Now the approval of the minutes, we'll do these one at a time. The October 22nd one is pretty brief.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve the August 22nd special meeting for the park board.
Bernie has moved, we approve the August 22nd minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the August 22nd minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next on the agenda is the September 7th meeting, which would have been our regular meeting, so a little more on there. Any additions or deletions or corrections? Take a minute or so to read through there. Quite a bit on there, but it's all pretty boilerplate.
Make a motion to approve the September 7th meeting.
It's been moved to approve the September 7th meeting minutes. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the September 7th Park Board meeting minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The minutes are approved. And lastly, the September 20th, that was the bid opening. So
I'll make a motion to accept the September 20th, 2023 minutes.
is there a second?
A second.
Been moved and seconded that we accept the September 20th Park Board meeting minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Okay, the next item is bills to pay from October Auditor's Resolution Report. I guess that's you, Lisa?
Yeah, there are no bills for that one. I guess we don't get the report, and we didn't get that report, but I did look through it after Sherry emailed it to me last night, and there are no park board bills on there for the month, so there are none for you guys to approve there.
Okay. And then I guess just move on to your report then.
Okay. So, for the county parks, fairgrounds, we have concluded our last event of the year. And so I'll give you a little bit of a breakdown on that here in a little bit. But the first thing we'll do, from the restrooms, the contracts were executed yesterday by our chairman of the commission, Dean. And so those should be returned today, I assume, with the insurance and everything that Coling has. So those have been executed and sent out. I did book yesterday 8 more events, 2 every month from December, January, February, and March, putting us at 30 events in the new indoor building, booked for 7.5 months solid. So just so you guys know, that's on there, and that one is going to be 2 professional rodeos every month. So, and then, go ahead.
Who's
Nathan Hofer,
okay. Okay, so it'll be mainly bull riding or full-fledged rodeos?
bull rodeo. Yep, he'll have his bull riding too. He booked one earlier, but yeah,
Okay.
he'll still do the PBR one in the winter as well. So, with that, the college rodeo, I'm going to show you a little bit of a clip that was taken from the college rodeo just to show you how the trailers are all in and parked in there. As you can see on the video, just hundreds of trailers were parked there over the weekend. And this was just a single rodeo, not a double rodeo like they normally have. So it was just the 2 days of rodeo. And every pen was full. They had to actually interesting.
I'm gonna guess that nobody wants to put their horse in with another horse. They don't share pens. It's a single animal too.
Unless they have their own horses that'll go together, they don't
Yeah,
stall 'em
which
with
you
any others.
can't.
Yeah,
You can't.
there's usually a lot of fighting if that happens. Yeah,
Yeah, it's bad enough across the fences.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So is there a plan to put more additional permanent stalls in?
You know, in our master plan, we have a 200 stall barn,
Yeah.
enclosed barn that will be part
Okay.
of that master plan. So if that goes forward, then we'd have that eventually.
How
This-
big are the stalls in that barn?
12 by 12.
12 by 12, okay.
Yeah, 10 by 10 is a really hard size, especially with considering how big the horses are nowadays.
Yeah.
10 by 10s, a lot of horses get cast in stalls, so most facilities won't even do that.
Yeah, I agree. And 12 by 12 is even a pinch sometimes.
It can
I
be.
built all mine 14 by 14.
Yeah, I don't even know if I never researched a larger stall, but yeah.
Yeah.
12 by 12 is it.
Well, it's easier to keep, believe it or not, it's easier to keep a big stall clean than a little one.
It is.
Because,
agree.
because
I
they don't
agree. I
tend
agree.
to
Yeah,
make a sewer pit out of it.
yep.
Do they have an idea of how much money this brings? Like an event like this, how much would it bring into the? So my question was,
Yes.
how much does an event like this bring into the Dickinson community?
You know, I don't know, with the CVB, they would be able to track that. They track a lot of our big events. So I'm not sure with what DSU, they track it and they get that information themselves, so that they can get sponsorships and support through the community. I'm not aware of that number, what it would bring. I know the last 2 years they've had a double rodeo, so it brought people in from Wednesday till about Monday they left, every year for. a
That
couple
means
years.
motel rooms.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a
minimum-
steady stream of people going in to eat and everything
Yeah.
else, so.
Yep, and filling stations, yep.
Because that, I mean, that's why we're building a facility, is to generate Dickinson
Yes.
income.
Yes, and yeah, it very much will be. And they'll run that report very easily for us, and I'll get that information for the next meeting so that you guys can see what all of our events have brought in
Yeah.
to the community. Okay, that's all I had for you for that.
Okay. Bernie, did you?
Have an exciting event like that.
Yeah, well, it brings young people into your town and they look at it and they say, this might not be a bad place to take a job,
And, college wants to build their own event where they can house all this stuff.
That's the thing. Last year I drone flew it because the President Easton and Ty Orton had never been to their own college rodeo before. So I drone flew it so they could see what it looked like, and it was quite a bit more packed because it was a double rodeo. So there was a lot of trailers and, I mean, just everywhere, people everywhere.
So before we finish with this, what is the geographical area of the draw for this? How far, I mean, we have schools from Iowa, South Dakota.
Yes, all over. I think the furthest away one was. 13 colleges. Yeah, 13 colleges.
Wisconsin.
Yep,
Yeah.
Wisconsin,
Yeah.
Idaho, they're all over. And they come in and various numbers of people come with them, but,
Yeah.
one of them I think had 22 members on theirs, so quite a few.
And if you get the facility like you're talking about, I mean, you would have national events then.
Yes.
Yes,
yeah.
correct.
You know, you'd have national events. We're going to a national event in Bowman this weekend. There'll be kids from Texas, Arizona,
Yeah.
everywhere
Yeah,
in the little event center that Bowman has. So,
yeah.
So double rodeo, that's two rodeos simultaneously going on at the same time?
They basically do 2 different slacks, 2 different performances for them, so you're competing
They're-
twice for the points. And
They're like back to back though, right?
Yes, back to back.
You run slack and then all the
Yep,
events and then run
Thursday,
slack and all
Friday,
the events.
Saturday, yep. Yep.
Okay, we'll move on to old business, and we have none, so we go to new business, budget discussion and intern. And I'm assuming that's you as well?
Yes. So, in the county road department budget, the gentleman that currently assists us out at the fairgrounds and the Speedway and Lakeview Park, mowing and doing maintenance out there, is coming out of their budget. They're not going to finance it in the road department budget any longer. And so it was felt that it should move to the park board budget. And so I know that we can't afford to pay the, I don't know what it was annually, but $30-some an hour through the park board budget. And so I'm requesting potentially to get an intern. And so we wanted to bring that to this board to discuss that so that we have somebody for that 5 months, 4 months, whatever it is there, from May basically until October-ish.
Some that we've discussed before, I think it's very important that you have a second person out there for you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, if something ever happens to me, somebody
well,
can
I mean,
step
just
in and do something
get
too.
yourself burnt out or, you know, I mean, it's easy to do with the amount of hours and everything that you do all summer out there and stuff, so I think it's very important that we have a,
Well, and it's nice to be able to do everything and not have everything consolidated into the winter months or be so far behind on everything filing
Right.
and that sort of thing that it is nice to be able to do that and count on somebody to be able to do it. And, you know, Carrie's done a wonderful job for us out there. But it's not right that it's funded as a road department position that's,
and you could delegate
Ours.
things so you can take care of some of the other things.
right,
and-
right, yeah.
So what is the process? I mean,
So, in the budget, if you look at your budget sheets there, I put them at $18,000 for the year. I'm not sure what we'd be able to do that with. I have not visited with Joetta on that. But we figured, you know, just to do a part-time person, just for that temporary, and call them an intern, and potentially it's somebody that maybe wants to work for the county doing various things. But to be able to have that person come in, we'd interview just like we would at any position and select a candidate that fits our needs. And I would, I guess, defer to Joetta in HR to be able to figure out the timing of that, if we do it now and get that person on board to come and start in April, May. I'm not sure what her thought process would be on that.
Have you worked up a job description for that?
Not yet, nope, I'd have to work with her to do that.
so this is going to be a seasonal job?
No
Well,
benefits,
so is it, are you specifically want to get, say, a college student? I mean, that's kind of what my mind says when you say intern.
vision that probably more so than anybody else, but it doesn't have to be a college student. You know, it just depends on, I guess, the applicants that we do have.
Okay. And what would be the responsibilities of the position?
Basically, to take care of the mowing, depending on what their skill sets are, you know, if there's some maintenance on the equipment that we could do, washing the equipment, that's something that kind of gets forgotten, cleaning stalls, that always needs to happen.
Yeah.
And just, you know, any of the maintenance type things that person could do, like I said, depends on what their skill set
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
You know, right now I hand stuff over to Carrie and he's able to do it, just based on, you know, being a farm kid, I guess, but,
Yeah.
so it would just kind of vary.
So
We would want them to
he's
do.
a full-time employee with the highway, okay.
Yeah, with the
So
road.
he's
And the
a-
road department they were mandated years ago to do the maintenance out there. It's just that they can't have somebody at that pay rate doing, it creates a little bit of a internal
Yeah.
issue for them.
Yeah.
Because they think it's easy to sit out there and mow instead of being in a truck or whatever. So we just wanted to eliminate some of that, so we don't have that internal chatter and some of those. And it's rightfully, it should be under this, being that it is a worker that way anyhow, to be able to do that.
So our role here now would be to approve the intern, and then the commission would have to approve funding for it, correct?
Correct, yes.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve an intern
Okay.
for Lisa for whatever part-time that she decides that they need to be there.
Is there-
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve an intern for part-time, I'm going to say maintenance person for the fairgrounds. Is there any further discussion?
I would ask, I mean, do you think that 18,000 is gonna be accurate? I mean, how many hours are you looking at?
We kind of, I just went off of the half, 2080 is a full-time person, and we went with 1,040 and just put him at, what was it? $17 an hour.
$17 an hour.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I don't know if we would have to go a little more, a little less. It's not benefited, so I'm not sure if that makes sense.
Here's where my mind is going with this, is that maybe we need to write a job description of specific skill sets that we want.
Yep, there you go.
So that, they can only mow so much.
Right,
So you're
Yep.
you're gonna,
Probably gonna want them at most of the events doing things out there too.
yes.
Yes.
And so maybe.
It would be nice
It's a
to
good
have
idea that we get a
somebody
job
help.
description
Yep.
before we decide on a wage.
yeah, because the difference between $15 and $18 an hour, that person that'll go to work for 18 probably has a lot better skill set than that person that shows up and has a heartbeat and breath,
Yeah, yeah.
So I guess,
But currently, we have a person in mind, correct? There's, yeah,
I do not have anybody in mind
Oh, I thought we
at this
did.
point. I don't know if Kerry would do it for less dollars or not. He's doing it currently, making a lot more.
Plus he's
So
getting
my
benefits
guess-
yet too. so
Yeah.
Yeah, and my guess is he probably is going to just retire and do that, so.
Currently, the gentleman
we have
that's
not
doing
had
it's making 34 an hour, and we're proposing 17.30 an hour at $18,000 for 6 months worth of work.
I just look at this, typically, a person that would be willing to do this kind of work is typically looking for full-time employment.
Possibly.
If they got his farm kid or whatever, he's a hardworking kid, he's not looking for a part-time job typically.
No, but
You
you
know.
got summertime, college rodeo kids that probably wanna be involved in something like
Or
that.
you might have somebody that looks like the person who's currently doing it, that wants, that's retired, but
Yeah.
wants to
yep,
be
wants to
busy.
work summers. That's,
Yeah.
that's where I'm thinking we'll find somebody. It's somebody that wants.
That would be the people.
Tim
that would be a
Oberlander,
little
for
more
example.
knowledgeable on maintenance,
Right,
they can
right.
change oil, they know how to grease
Yeah.
the machine.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Randy will be back next summer, so.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, he's just looking for.
he's got nothing to do.
You might know how to change oil.
Skill
yeah.
set is declining real fast, I'm telling you.
And the thing is, with the budget dollar amount, I'm not sure what we need to do because the commission is going to approve budgeting today. So I don't know if that number needs to be adjusted based on that, but have, some
Well,
things
originally,
input
one of the
there.
numbers I saw in there was 21,000. I don't know
Yeah,
that
it was-
that makes a difference, but,
I don't-
based on what I'm hearing, that's probably more in line.
I think either 21 or 25
Well,
and not to exceed or,
Yeah,
Yeah.
What you're talking about here is about $750 a week. That's gonna be a tough fill. It is.
Well, we want
Right.
to set it to a number too, that we don't ever get in towards this overtime business.
Yeah.
Let's be.
Well, it's gonna be salaried though, right?
Understand.
well, it can't be salaried because it's not an exempt position.
Yeah, that is true.
It has to be
absolutely.
hourly.
Well, but we
We can
have,
mandate no overtime. We absolutely can do that.
we have a motion and a second, so we need to call for question on that motion to approve the intern. I think we can leave the budget number up to the commissioners, can't we?
Well, this board should make a recommendation,
Right.
so.
Yeah.
Well, we better vote on that motion
Sure.
that we have at hand. So it's been moved that we approve the intern at $18,000.
I did not put a dollar figure on my,
Okay, that's correct?
Can we put a dollar figure out there? I mean,
Well,
We almost
yeah,
have to.
we're working towards that, I guess.
I just made a motion that we hire somebody. I did not make a
Okay,
motion.
fair enough, yep. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we hire an intern. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. The motion to hire an intern has carried. I guess going forward,
I would, what would it come to at 25 grand?
At
I was gonna say, my calculator guy over there.
25,000?
Corey's fast at it, yeah. 1,040,
$24 an hour.
24.
24.
That's a little high.
So at $21 an hour, it's 21,840. At 18,000 is 1730.
And if we have a dollar amount, that doesn't mean I'm going to hire at that dollar amount.
That's, yeah.
So, you know,
have
the
confidence
the
in you.
offers that would be made, I mean, that's, I would
Mr. Chairman, I
negotiate
move
that.
that we budget 22,500 for the county intern position.
It's been moved and seconded that we request a $22,000 500. Is there a second?
Yes, I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we budget 22,500 for the intern position. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The budget request has been approved at 22.5. Okay, I guess we move on to our next item. It's the budget discussion, special requests.
And that would be your second sheet, that the commission had requested that our auditor put it on a completely separate sheet than my budget sheet. And these are the ones that I sent you in the budget justification that you received before that September 15th meeting. And so Lakeview Park, you know, there's 60,000 there, and that's basically to take care of that park a little bit and put something up. In the budget justification, I told you that there was some issues there with the residents not wanting something too nice, so that it encouraged other people to come to their neighborhood. So we've kind of put everything at a little bit of a halt, but there are some things there that we need to take care of. The basketball court itself isn't really a court anymore. It's basically the pavement is deteriorated so much that it's just dirt. And so there's nothing there. Trying to get an overlay done on the tennis court side on the concrete to make that usable and put up some basketball hoops over there so that becomes a basketball court. And so the 60,000 would be a portion of that along with the playground equipment. And so there are some grants that I can write as long as we have some funding. There's some ones that require a match for match dollars on some of the grants, so we can do that. So that's what that number is. The community events building, phase 1, and that's the 8.5 million that I'm requesting that the commission approve to start us with that building, and that's to put up the shell of the building and get as much done as we can for that dollar amount. I will still raise the $2.9 million. I've still got committed members for those dollars. So if we can get that building started, like I said, it's booked for 30 events, and of those events, only there's 7 of them that I think are I consider smaller events, but they probably will grow to the bigger events because they'll happen in the wintertime where there's not a whole lot going on here. So 7.5 months it's booked and not even slated to be built. So people are really antsy to get that thing built. So the 4-H covered space, as you recall, probably in our June meeting, I reported that I received a $5,000 grant that I applied for through the Fair Association for $5,000 from Rough Rider Electric. I'm putting up a covered area for the 4-H kids. And so that total cost is $38,000, so I'm requesting $33,000 to be able to do that. We are in some discussions on a donor to help with some of those funds, so should that fall through, I would like the commission and the park board to approve that. The motorsports park retaining wall, and that one is the one that we've been dealing with pretty much all summer. And I have $80,000 in my current budget for to fix that wall, and so the $40,000 would be the extra that we needed, as well as putting cameras out there. I reported that we had a couple break-ins that happened there, so I've purchased the cameras, so now we need to put them up. $11,000 in that is expected to be in that dollar amount. The LED park light conversion, There are no more bulbs for the lights that are currently out there. And so during my budget meeting with Commissioner Marsh and Commissioner White and the auditor, we talked about even just replacing them as needed, one at a time, one light thing at a time, to make sure that, you know, we don't have to spend this 72,000, but that is the cost of converting everything into LED lights. So with that, that's what I had in there. Does anybody have any questions?
Well, let's take them one at a time.
Sure.
Let's go back to the park. I have a $60,000 request. So when I'm hearing, personally, and hearing you tell about that, I would like to see a complete conversion of that park. I don't think anybody's using an outdoor court with the activity center up here. If they want to play basketball, they're going up there and they're playing on the hardwood floors and shooting. And the same way with tennis. They're going to go indoors. They're not going to use that outdoor court. Maybe we should make it into more of a picnic type park with some playground equipment, picnic tables, maybe some covers. And I don't know if that budget number is adequate for that or not. But the dang thing is just a sore thumb for this board. I don't know how we ended up with it, but
We didn't know we owned it and then
Yeah.
found out we did.
we have it. But
Yeah.
I mean, I just, outdoor court, I don't know who's playing basketball outdoor anymore. It isn't,
I live right next to a park and that basketball court's always packed.
It is.
Right by St. Ben's.
There's kids there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
but-
an elderly nursing. home.
okay, so,
But I'm just saying,
maybe I'm wrong then.
Well, I think there's a difference here too. You take the one next to you or Eagles Park where you have a multifaceted park, you have the whole community coming in there. I mean, so in order to do what we're potentially talking about out at Lakeview is you would have to extract people out of the community really because the amount of homes in Lakeview is not very many.
Yeah.
So you're, how do you make it, how do you regionalize it and do what you're talking about doing? I don't know. I have more questions.
So
than answers.
this development is called Lakeview. So if
Yes.
we made it into a picnic park, they got a view of the lake, right?
Yeah,
You can't really see it.
Not
but they
really.
could.
Not really? No?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
stand out in the middle of the road, they can't.
Oh, okay.
that's true. Very true.
let's tell the kids to play on the road.
Yeah.
And there are quite a few young children there now. It's kind of the housing has turned over now, and a lot of young folks have moved in
Well,
with young children now.
And maybe a conversion, I mean, it's a pretty simple conversion, right? Because
Yes.
it's a concrete slab and you put the baskets up and.
Yeah, it's not a big thing. The other side is the biggest part to take out what's there, but we also, if we touch it, we have to add parking spaces, and that's what part of this is.
Okay.
So,
add those parking
Lisa, a quick
spaces.
question for you. Is the
Sure.
1,203,000, is that how much you have in your capital fund right now?
Yes, in the special projects fund.
Is that with or without the restrooms being accounted for?
The restrooms is 230 of that, and then whatever you guys, I don't know how you guys
So-
approved budgeting. Did you take budget monies out of there for the additional?
Yeah, so the 230 that we did for ARPA for out there
Yes.
is in the 1,203.
I'd have to ask Karen if that's still in there, because there was that and then the bleacher stuff. She had it all listed at one time underneath this, but being she got rid of that, I don't see it. Yeah, because she looks like she transferred in $1 million. I would have to look at that and just see. I'm pretty sure that all that funding is in with that.
Okay.
'Cause it would've
So
been-
if we take
Yeah.
416 as of last meeting out of there, so we really have
Yep,
a reserve of about 800,000.
yes, correct.
I'm going back to this, that Lakeview Build Park, or park. I ask myself, does that park really even fit into what we do here at Stark County? And I wonder if it would fit probably maybe better into the Dickinson Park system.
I tried to give it away.
Maybe we try again.
We were in discussions of it, and it wasn't an absolute no. So I
'Cause
don't know that.
Like I said, that's really kind of, our focus is away from that type of
Correct.
stuff, really. And it's like, well, we have it, but I think, they have a pretty good park system at the city of
do.
Dickinson, and,
Yeah.
maybe this would be something that they're always looking for something to add on to or to do. So maybe it's worth picking up the discussion with Ben again and seeing if they would take it off our hands. And
I can do that.
They can do their thing. And I'm sure they'll do a great job with it, and we could.
I'm sure if we fixed it up, they would take it.
Yeah, but before we fix it up, let's.
I know that.
Is it in the city limits?
No,
No,
no.
but, I
But
mean, I
they're not the
envision
ci-
it to
they're
be
not
something
city,
where
though.
we could say, we're gonna give you X amount of dollars a year as a funding mechanism and maintenance mechanism,
Mm-hmm.
and, you guys do the park, so.
So I guess.
I agree, I think it should be a conversation, it doesn't fall into our expertise at all.
Well, or any of the other things we do, it's just that, like I
Right.
said, it's that sore thumb sticking out there.
Just sitting out there,
We don't know what to do with it.
right.
Good call, Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just pare it out of our deal and.
I
So,
would like to add a little something that they came probably a year ago, the community, and sat down and said, hey, this looks like it's yours and it's falling apart. Can you guys do something for us?
Yeah.
So it's been a while. So something we should probably get on and get those folks something by the spring, you know?
Is there any safety concerns with the way things sit? It's-
No.
Everything's fine?
so
They just can't use
does
it.
Patterson Lake, the area of Patterson, the city of Dickinson takes care of all that, right? Their parks?
Yes, they take care of all of the, I guess, interior portions of
Yeah, I mean,
all
this is
of
an
that,
easy
so it
bolt-on for
kinda
them.
would
Yeah,
be.
it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's, I
I
mean, it's,
mean,
And Ben was fairly new when I had that conversation
Mm-hmm.
with him, so he might have some different
Well,
thoughts.
he had actually
but
mentioned
we'll
it to me at one
definitely-
point, and that was a while back, but I feel like it's something that we should probably pick that conversation back up and see if we can
Absolutely.
get it out of our hair.
Okay,
And they can do something nice with it, and we can help, maybe.
yeah,
you know.
yeah, yep.
yep.
Yeah, if we,
Do
if
that
we,
and I'll bring some
if we would help
information
them
back to
upgrade
the
it and
next-
they'd take it over
Yeah.
after that, you know. But, okay, then, let's go to the, community events arena phase 1. 8.5 million request. Tell us exactly what that will do.
So that's to go forward with plans and specs on the building and then put up, it's estimated that that could put up the shell of the building and then the arena to get everything, arena and seating, to get everything moving forward. Just to get those events that we have committed to come here.
So
In and started.
would the shell of the building include HVAC?
Yes, it would have to. Yep, yep,
Okay.
yep. Yep.
So a shell, when you say shell, is that insulated, or is it just a shell? We're gonna insulate, liner panel this thing? I mean, how far,
That
if
would
we're gonna
have,
put HVAC in it, it's gonna have to have some,
they'll have to do, they'll have to insulate it, and that, we don't know what that looks like yet, because we haven't really told them what we want, in terms of,
You even have a
design or-
floor plan made out yet of any sort?
they did a floor plan of it, but they didn't do a great job of it. When he sent it to me, he even had the building right where all those trailers were parked.
Right, I remember
And
that.
they did that,
So they didn't really
so-
do a whole lot of their own homework on it either.
Not yet,
They
not
being,
to our satisfaction.
they being the
Architect
check.
in
Okay.
Iowa, yep, yep.
And the proposed size of that building, I know you told me at one time, 300 by 500?
Yes, correct. That's what it's anticipated to be. And then we would just phase in the rest of the building as we needed it, and the stalling barn and the other aspects of it.
So the 8.5 million, that would be, you're approved to have people in there and everything else
Yes.
by, okay, and you could host an event,
Yes, yep,
lights, camera, action.
yep.
So it's more than
We
just
just
a
wouldn't
shell at
have
that point.
offices, we wouldn't have, the
Kitchen?
concessions, yeah, kitchen, any of that, any of the park or any of the other things that we were anticipating would go in there, we wouldn't have that at that point.
Okay, so,
I just don't see
Oh,
how you.
I still think we have a challenge. What's the proposal for funding? You're gonna raise 2.9, you say. That still leaves 5.6 million. Where's that money coming from? You have 800,000 left in your reserve. I mean, let's face it, we gotta figure out where, if this is gonna go forward, where's the 5.9 coming from? Now, you know, we just talked about that, there's a bunch of events out there, but the county doesn't benefit from that because when people come to town and they use the facilities, the sales tax goes into another coffer that we don't control.
Right.
And so you have to have some kind of an agreement from the city if we're gonna get a portion of that sales tax money. I don't know if they would have never had that
Do you
conversation.
think, visiting with Terry Thiel on CVB, I mean, the city took a lot of our funding away a while back, but there's that 1% sales tax that the hospitality industry pays. Is there'd be a way to steer that towards this project, which I
There are
don't know
some,
if the city would be for it because they want to build their own event center. But if we could steer some of that, because I mean, just like this college rodeo, I mean, what did that bring in for the city? I mean, if we have a large event city, the city definitely would benefit. So I think visiting with Terry might be a,
yep, and I have visited with Terry, and I've also visited with some of the commissioners in the city, and they said we would definitely benefit from the city grant, and we could do that.
so the city would give you a grant, is that what they said? And what would the grant be?
Yep. They don't know, depends on what we're gonna build.
Let's go back to the beginning of this. I mean,
Yep.
you're talking about a 150,000 square foot building for 8.5 million. It's never gonna get built for 8.5 million. Never. I mean, even at $100 a square foot, it's gonna be 15 million. So, I mean, I just think, I mean, let's get realistic about if it's truly a 150,000 square foot building. I mean, we just went through this with our bathrooms.
Yeah.
We got, we just got really surprised. Let's not get surprised here.
Right.
Let's talk about what the number's really probably gonna be. And I would have a hard time believing that you can build that building for what we're gonna want in it for less than $100 a square foot. So that's a minimum 15 million.
But see, the whole building is not gonna be finished, and you're talking just to build it with nothing in it? That it's gonna be 15 million?
But are you gonna, I mean, you're not gonna be satisfied just to have a 300 by 500 building out there with a shell where you have doors and dirt. Because if you're gonna have an event in the middle of the winter, even if it's insulated, your ground's gonna freeze, so you gotta spend a tremendous amount of money keeping that ground unthawed. I mean, no one wants to, I'm not a horse guy. I would
Yeah,
assume you don't wanna end up like Jason, riding on ice. So, I think it's a much bigger conversation. I mean, I support the concept, but I just don't see the economics working out. We don't get anything. It's kind of like the next conversation we're gonna have. The motorsports speedway, we do everything and we get a very minimal amount of revenue from that.
Will be different than that, because this building itself will not be a leased portion to the Fair Association. That will be funding that comes directly back to this park board.
And what, have you done any economic projections on that?
Well, now I have to change all of that, but yes, that's been sent out, that was probably 3 years ago that we did the projections, the income projections on that, and also the expenses that were part of that.
I agree.
I'm just going at 150,000 square feet. I don't know what the sidewall height is. Let's say it's 20. So then all of a sudden you're talking 3 million cubic feet of air that you've got to maintain, and that's expensive.
I don't know if 20 will be high enough either.
Well,
Okay.
I think it's 30. I
Okay,
think.
so then I'm just saying even a minimum of 20.
My shop is 18
You're talking
and
feet, I'm talking
I-
millions. I agree, I mean, Randy, I agree that this area needs something like this. I think it would be
absolutely
great to
does.
have something like this in our area, but I think there's gonna be some really serious conversations had with the city of Dickinson. I mean,
Yeah.
they are gonna be the ones that are going to probably benefit from this the most financially. And somehow, some way, it would be great to have a conversation with them about, okay, if we're gonna do this, can we depend on you for some funding? And, that conversation hasn't happened. And so, I mean,
And there are a lot of grants that I can apply for, but I have to have plans and specs to do it. So that limits us, and those grants are pretty major at this point. So that would be the other portion that we'd be able to.
I'd like to see plans, because it's really hard to put a dollar figure on something like this without plans, but know if I'm comfortable now at all with
Well, I mean,
she was working with.
it took us 30 grand to design a 2,100 square foot restroom. What the heck's it gonna take us to design a 150,000 square foot
Right.
building?
I know,
Yeah.
it's just crazy what they're doing, what
But, like I said,
architectural,
And then we did it ourselves anyway.
And we did it ourselves anyway, but,
8.5 million there, I mean, I just don't even think that's even close to realistic.
yeah. I,
I just, because like we're already talking, you know, it's not gonna be just a shell. If we really wanna open it up during the wintertime, it's gonna be more than that. It's gonna have an HVAC
Well-
system, insulation, you know, all
And-
these things.
and that's really one of the major reasons for having it is winter use.
Right.
To be able to have events in the wintertime.
We don't need it in the summertime.
Yeah.
We do need it in the summertime.
Yeah,
We have
you
rain
need it
and
more in the
different
spring
things.
and the fall.
Yeah.
it's-
And we will have summer events, because I do have some of the summer events that are gonna book
Yeah,
into their
I mean, it
big-
rains all
big
the time
events.
here. I mean,
Well,
like,
even the Rough
This
Rider
year
Days
it did.
concert will be moved inside then.
Right.
It'll be moved into this facility.
Right.
It won't be
Yep.
in the outdoor
Or
arena.
4-H events, everything could be.
One other thing would be that, you know, not knowing just a projected estimate of annual upkeep cost on something like that as well. Not
and
just the.
there's plenty
not
of that
just your
information
fixed-
out there. to-
Fixed budget, yeah.
Yeah, to compare. I guess my idea would be to pull in a couple of individuals who are in that business of putting up buildings and say, give us a budget number for what you want. I'd just as soon, you know, keep the outside design and consult expenses to a minimum, but if it's a $15 million building, then, you know, I don't know how you do it, so why waste 30 or 40,000 on doing it? So if we can keep the conversation,
Especially if it's a steel building.
yeah, I mean, those are
Those
easy.
companies will design it for you.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, they,
That's where we got this number from, is from them.
okay.
So, and it's actually a company that brings them in out of Oklahoma, is where it is. Yep.
So
so they
they,
gave you a real estimate of 8.5 million to set this.
The shell of the building up with the arena portion of it. But not, it's not the offices, it's not the event rooms, it's not any of that stuff finished or
Do you
any
have
of
that in conceptual design, you know, or no? It's
I can
just-
get it that way,
Yeah, I think
that-
that'd be
I
neat
think
to
that would
see.
be-
other than the
helpful.
layout part of it, because they can put a layout in there, but they said that the architect is the one that would have to do
so
that.
if they're an Oklahoma company, speaking from my experience down there, they don't have any idea what snow load is.
Actually, the contractors from up here, that's his supplier.
Okay.
That brings it up, and so he does them all over, up in Montana, North
Okay,
Dakota,
okay.
and South Dakota.
That's because
Yep.
my barn down there has
Snow.
rafters every 20 feet,
Yeah.
and
Wouldn't-
stringers, you
wouldn't
know.
help
and
up here with
We
it.
look at that
Yeah.
and I go,
Can you
Yep.
get us the estimate? Is there a way to look at the estimate? I mean, is this going to involve footings? Is it going to involve, you know, all your electrical, water, things like that go into the building?
Yeah, if you're gonna
Without
thermic,
a
you know, if you're gonna
layout.
thermally control it, you have to do frost wall footings.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I don't know how I get that without having a plan, because I don't know where to put water or any of that if we don't have.
mean,
Well, I'm just
we can
saying,
figure
we're requesting 8.5 million, and okay, great. If they say they can put this building up for 8.5 million, can we get some documents, you know, looking and seeing if they're correct? I'd like to see an estimate. You know, not somebody saying, yeah, 8.5 million. Like,
an itemized estimate. This is
Yeah,
what this
yeah,
costs, this is what this costs. This is
yeah,
what
see what we're getting.
Yeah,
I think it'd be a lot easier to go ask for money that way.
gauge of steel and everything
I
is
agree.
important.
I mean, we have to have something solid here to look at, and
Well, if they put that much work into it, I know that they're gonna probably charge us, because we have to bid it out. They can't just get the job. So that's gonna be something that you guys need to approve.
Not
or-
necessarily, have you, you know, I'm sure Randy's bid a lot of projects you didn't get paid on, but I agree with Randy. I mean, we can start with, I mean, my little software program can draw a 300 by 500 building, make it look whatever. We can hand it to the locals and say, what is your, you know, whether it's Butler or American Standard or whoever, What would that company do and how would they propose doing it? I think we can get enough information moving forward
Yeah.
to kind of ballpark what you're looking for. But it's still gonna end up at the end of the day, how are you gonna pay for it, so.
Well, but shell, I mean, the shell is one thing, well, we don't want just a shell, we want something we can use. I mean, if you're gonna actually do this, I mean, you're talking offices, you're talking arenas, you're talking HVAC systems, overhead doors, you know, you want this thing to be able to, you know, to use it. And so I think we need to have that, try to get it towards the number of what it's really gonna be. And maybe it is 8.5 million, but I don't think it is.
Okay.
Because they're talking, what, basically $50 a square foot, correct? At 8.5 million?
They are.
Yeah.
But it's a dirt floor, guys. We're not pouring cement through the whole thing, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, true
It's a
enough.
dirt floor, so that's gonna,
Well, you're gonna have concrete under your bleachers. Basically, the only dirt part is gonna be the actual footprint of the arena,
Yep.
right?
oh, yeah.
You know,
Stop
so,
pins, yeah.
and that's gonna be how many square feet? It's gonna be 300 by
Yeah,
150?
150, yeah.
So do the math, 45,000 square feet, right?
Yeah, I mean, a portion of this thing could probably be built for $50 a square,
Yeah.
but the other portion probably
Yeah.
not so much.
Well, I was gonna put up another shop, and I was quoted $100 a square foot for that. That's 18-foot sidewalls, 8,400 square feet. I mean, and I was quoted $100 a square foot, just in a conversation. That was with Scott Coling. I mean, you know,
Just the
it's because
span
they
of
built
the
my
roof
first
alone-
building.
The span of the roof alone is gonna make this thing.
Yes, yeah,
expensive
width is
process.
what costs money, not
Yes.
length, yeah.
So where are we at? Are we gonna get some estimates? Are we gonna?
Well,
Yeah, I can do that.
I think we need to have a bigger number myself, and we need to know exactly why we have that bigger number.
When we sat down with the guy, was he from Colorado or Iowa?
Iowa.
We sat down, did we pay them to give us a layout,
We have not.
oh, I got you. I thought we approved to pay them 50,000 to give
Did.
us a,
We did, and then because they didn't see us getting plans and specs,
oh,
just to do the layout, we've been on the back burner and kept being pushed back and
Gotcha.
pushed back because of it.
gotcha.
So that's why we got the layout we got, because I said we needed something for that meeting, and
Yeah.
that's what he gave me with buildings and waterways and things that they just
Gotcha.
hurried up and plugged in and didn't, he knows better.
I got you.
So, yeah.
But he would stand by this 8.5 million.
I don't know if the architect would, you know, he was at about 20 million
Yeah.
for the whole thing, the way we wanted it. And I'm sure it's probably more now, because that was almost a year ago. So,
Yeah, but inflation's coming down.
That's right.
And then the funding mechanism is huge. I mean, we have
Yeah.
to figure that out here.
Well, and to Paul and Neil's earlier point, the city really needs to be involved in this.
Yep.
They really need to put up some money, because they're gonna benefit from it probably more than anybody.
Be interesting to know how much hospitality tax actually comes to the city. And if there's, because they just put it into the general fund when they took it away from the CVB. If they can direct that back into something like this.
I was just, when you were telling about the college rodeo, I was kinda thinking in my mind, how many gallons of fuel were bought in town here?
Yeah.
You know, thousands of gallons of fuel at $4,
yeah.
you know,
I mean, the restaurants, the
yeah.
pool, the hotels, I mean, it's a ton.
Oh, and that's exactly why we needed an event center. I mean,
Yes.
we're on 94. This is a perfect place to have an
Yeah.
event center in Dickinson.
Okay, so let's give Lisa some direction here so we can
Yeah,
Okay.
move on, because
yeah.
we have a few things to cover yet.
So, I guess, did you make a list of all the information we thought we needed?
I did. What I did was to get the city of Dickinson involved, so I'll set up a meeting, you know, to talk with them about that, and then get aboard an itemized estimate, so that you can see exactly what we're gonna get for the dollars and make sure that that 8.5 million is enough. And then get an annual budget of what it's gonna cost, a projected budget of cost and income comparisons.
We need to get a commitment from them. We need to approach them and ask for a commitment
Yeah.
towards this.
Yep.
And start there. If they, you know, and if they don't say no and they're not interested, they've got other plans, well, I guess then we're back to square one, we start over. But I
Yeah.
mean, at some point, we have to ask the question, would you be interested in supporting something like this?
Okay, we beat this one already enough, so, and you guys got a commission meeting after this,
At
correct?
10, we did 9.
At 9, so we better move along. The 4-H covered space, budget request of 33,000.
And that, again, is just to have a spot. We spend right now, on the Fair Association side and on the Park Board side, roughly about 7,000, anywhere from 5 to 7,000 for the tent that we rent for 1 week, and throw that money away every single time. So
And
we want to build
we
a
absolutely
roof.
need this.
I would
facility.
absolutely-
I'm in favor of this.
Yeah,
I would make a motion that we move forward in budgeting the 33,000, and if we can get things working out with the one person that wants to make donations and help with that, then that'd be a benefit for us.
okay, is there a second to that
I'd
motion?
second that.
Been moved and seconded that we make the budget request for 33,000. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Okay, the Motors Parks retaining wall. We've talked this one over already. We just need to decide if we're gonna spend the money or not. Or make the request for it.
Well, there's a liability issue
Is-
there too
yeah.
if we don't.
Well,
Yeah.
did we do the soil tests? I mean, I don't remember if we move forward with that. Is this the solution to the problem?
Well, the only solution that we've been given for the problem, yes, and it's to do the, under the grandstands, to fill that back in where the footings were eroding. It'll take care of all of that with the 80,000 I have in the current budget, 23 budget.
So it's 120, not 40?
Correct, for all of it.
Yeah, so
The retaining wall along with the
so
other.
the 80 is to solve the drainage problem and the 40 is just for the,
A little bit of the 40 is to help with that, because they figured about 100,000, it's gone now, about 100,000 to do that retaining wall, should they find where that spring is at. So now that we're at the end of the season, now we can dig everything up
Yeah,
and start
because
looking and make
we're-
that.
wasn't Al gonna pothole out there with us,
Yes.
with backhoe?
Yep.
Yeah, to find
Yep.
out where,
Yep.
to isolate the problem, yeah,
Yep,
yeah, so,
yep, and now we can do all of that work now.
yeah. So, is there a motion to approve the budget request for 40?
I motion to approve the 40,000
Okay.
for the Motors Park retaining wall, excuse me.
It's been moved that we make a budget request for 40,000 for retaining wall at the Motorsports Park. Is there a second?
I have a question.
Okay,
So the 33 we just approved, that's coming out of the 800 you have left? And the 40 we're potentially approving, that's coming out of the
Come out of that
800?
also.
And the 11 and the potential 72 is also coming out of the 800?
Well, it depends on if that's how you guys fund it on the commission side, or if it's coming out of the general fund as extras.
Well, if,
You guys decide that, how
Well-
it's funded.
I mean, to me, if these are park board functions, then it should come out of the park board reserve and not out of the county funds, general fund.
Yes and no. There's other departments that have funding that you take out of the general fund, and they still have overages in their funds as well to operate.
Example?
Just our county agents, our veteran services, the overages that they have in there.
Well, we're reducing those surpluses by their budget. Actually, the weed board we're trying to build up, I guess, but. I'm asking the question. I mean, it's.
well, and I guess that's, in my mind, it's either we approve it here, but we make a budget request for additional funds to the commission, so, you guys have a little bit of a conflict of interest there, but, it comes from the left hand or the right hand, but it needs to be done. I mean, whether it comes out of that reserve or whether you give us additional money to do it
Well,
as a
not-
commission.
Not necessarily, the park board is milled for, you know, we separately mill for these functions, the function of the board, and if this is where we're going in capital projects within the board.
Well, if we want to approve this, we should say where the money's coming from then, if we want to take it from.
That's exactly my point.
So I have a question. Currently, for the retaining wall, you have 80,000?
Under
And the
capital
bid that
improvements.
Wind Construction put in was 100 and, for the total project for that wall, 140 or 120?
No, it was 115, is that what it was? Do you recall that?
I can't-
I think
it's
it was
been a few months.
115, and then the erosion underneath the bleachers, the grandstands there that was after that we found that afterwards.
So the wall needing to be repaired is because of the erosion issues, right?
Yes.
And
the
we haven't
spring that's
resolved
in
those
there.
erosion issues yet,
No,
correct?
no, because we can do it now that they're all done with their events. Now we can go
Oh,
out and
dig it
dig
up.
and do the things we need to do to find the spring. That's what the road department's gonna go out and dig that and find the
This
spring.
fiscal year yet?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, well, we have a motion on the table to approve this 40,000. Is there a second?
Well, I'll second it, but we need to decide where the money's coming
Okay,
from.
okay, now we have a second. Now we can have the discussion about where the money's gonna come from. If it's gonna come from the park board reserve, or if we're gonna ask the commission for additional funds.
Where's the initial 80,000 coming from?
The general fund is where it came out of.
So you've got 80,000 in your capital improvement right
Yes,
now.
correct. In my current 23 budget, it's 80.
Do we have any buy-in from our,
So we have 80,000 in the 23 budget to do projects. We're gonna ask for 80,000 in the 24 budget. Or have you spent the 23, 80 in
I
the
have
23?
not,
Okay.
not yet, because we haven't looked at that
So
yet.
if we have 80 sitting there and you roll that additional 80 as proposed, that's 160. The four projects on the bottom four amount to 156. Do you have any other capital projects that you
No.
have? So if we approve the 80, then you can spend that money and still keep the 800 in reserve that you have for the other projects.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, if they approve, you
if it's
guys
spent in
approve that.
23? The 80 that they have in the 23 budget?
Right, they have she has 80 or we have 80 in the
Currently.
coffers right now, and we're asking for 80 more from the county as part of the 24 budget. Those two numbers give us 160 for capital improvements.
Correct.
Well, then we
Yep.
would need this 40 then. Or this-
Yeah.
Well, it would be in,
would
what
be-
I'm
it
saying
would be-
is,
it would be part of
the
that other
status
80.
quo pays for the four
Right.
items if we want those four items.
Oh, yeah, I see what you, okay.
Yeah, yep, yep. Okay, so let's have a vote on the 40,000 budget request for the retaining wall. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, same sign.
Well, I didn't understand
Well,
what we were
do a
voting.
roll
on.
You
call
made, you
We
made.
need to do a roll call.
Okay, we can do, you made a motion to approve the $40,000 budget request.
Yep.
Bernie seconded it.
And we-
Neil, in the discussion, said it can be.
Where is it coming from?
Yeah.
Okay.
It can come from,
So can I take back the motion and
no,
we say
we-
where
we-
it's coming from?
You could amend your motion,
Would that be the right thing to
I
do?
think so.
well, or we could vote this one down and have a new motion.
Well, yeah, whatever you guys want to do.
Well, if you want to amend it, you have that
It was your
opportunity.
motion, Jason. So.
Okay, I'd like to amend it to request that the money comes out of where the 80,000 is currently coming out of.
Okay. The capital funds.
Capital funds, yes.
That are already
Already
allocated.
allocated,
Yep.
that this additional 40 comes out of there as
Okay,
well. Now, is the 33,000 also coming out of there?
Well, that'll be for the next, well, yeah.
Next one.
Well, no,
And I
that's the
will-
one we
I will-
already.
I seconded and I'll follow Jason's
Okay,
amendment.
okay. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we amend the original motion to take the 40,000 out of the capital improvements budget that's money that's already been allocated. Roll call vote. Corey? Corey?
No.
No. Bernie?
Aye.
Dean?
Aye.
Paul?
No.
Neil?
No,
Aye.
And Jason? I vote aye. What's the tally?
4-3, I
Three,
think.
For or against?
4.
Okay. Motion is carried. Now the motorsports park camera system.
And that's just to install the cameras out at the motorsports park. They just
Okay.
have two,
That's equipment and installation.
the equipment is purchased already. It's just the installation. And they estimate it between $9,000 and $11,000. So it could be less.
Who's installing that?
Consolidated.
So, and so we don't go down that same rabbit hole of the last one. You want to make an additional request to the commission for the 11,000?
Yes,
Yes.
correct.
Is there a motion to that effect? Okay, so we don't have a motion to that effect. What does the board propose to do?
I'm just going back, a little history. Cameras are for just basically security purposes, or what do we got going out there?
Security and liability issues.
Yeah.
Should something happen, and we've had several things, overturns of vehicles and things like that that happen, as well as a couple of
And
break-ins.
we've already purchased the cameras. We have them
Correct.
already.
Yeah.
Yes.
We got 24,000 invested in this or something like that, or, right?
Yeah, it was, I
Yeah.
think, 21 something, 21.2.
I think I'd make a motion to put the cameras up. We've purchased them. Eventually, they're gonna be out of date, and we're not gonna use them, so we'd have to buy more cameras. So I would make a motion to get those cameras up. The system will be there later down the road when we need to update them. The wiring and everything's there.
Out of what funds?
Yeah, where are you
So-
proposing to fund it from?
I wouldn't, I guess I would be open to suggestions on that. I mean, we've had some vandalism and stolen stuff out there this year already.
Yeah,
So there are
twice.
some liability issues, so
I'd like to see them come out of the 2024 capital improvement fund.
perfect. I would make that motion to have it come out of the 2024 capital improvement.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded that the 11,000 for the camera system come out of the current capital improvement funds. All in favor, well, we need to roll call it?
Yep.
Okay, Corey,
Aye.
Bernie,
Aye.
Dean,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
Neil,
Aye.
Jason.
Aye.
I vote aye. Motion carried. Okay, now the LED light conversion, that's a big chunk, and, so that's 72,000 material,
That's installation and
installed,
everything,
yeah.
yes. Yep. But I would recommend that we don't do that we follow their recommendation to do them as needed
okay?
on there.
Because you can, okay, so here the problem out there is that we can't add anything unless we bring in more power, unless we change the lights.
Yeah, there's no more light bulbs like that being made.
You can't
We,
get that
we
light
put
bulb
in
to
the
replace
last
it.
one.
Oh, I
they
see,
burn out.
Yeah.
I
So,
see.
and you wouldn't have to change the power. LED lights take obviously way less
same.
power,
Yes,
so.
yes, yeah.
They would, as they burn out or
Replace.
they're out there, if you need 2 or 3 of them replaced, replace them.
Yep,
So it would just be an operating expense.
Right.
They'll come back onto
Yep.
you.
yep.
Okay, so we should have a motion to reject this.
No, lack of
No.
motion says no.
Yep, lack of motions. yeah.
Okay, okay. So I guess that concludes that part of our meeting.
And since the meeting time is over, you can't
Yep.
resign now because.
Oh, yeah, we got one more thing to do here. I'm gonna tender my resignation from the board as of October 31st. I will no longer serve. And I would hope that we can interview some people in that time, so we have somebody in place for the next meeting. And I would ask for a volunteer to serve, and probably it'd be you, Bernie, since this is your portfolio, correct?
Yep.
And I would like to be involved in that. Jason, can you be involved in it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And we'll, you'll put out an ad for applications
Yeah,
and.
and you have a
loosen it.
copy of that there that we'll put out
Yeah.
and make sure that the auditor receives all the
Yeah.
applications, and then
Yeah.
we'll go through a selection process.
One other thing that would like to do is I'm gonna appoint Neil as kind of a point of contact for Coling Construction on the bathrooms. And I'm gonna be his assistant for the month of October.
Only if you rescind your resignation.
I just feel conflicted about not being able to make the meetings in the wintertime, and just, I think somebody else can give it more time, and I can't, I've enjoyed serving. You guys, this board and the previous board have been good to work with, but I also think that I've been on here for 3 years now? I think it's probably time for some new ideas, so.
You did, done a great job.
Well, thank you.
Kudos.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll just send the application.
Oh, I don't think you have to approve it.
On the application, shouldn't they go to the human resource instead of the auditor's office, the applications, or not?
They used to go to the auditor, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, yep,
Okay, thanks.
okay.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Meeting adjourned.